Hey everyone! In the card game of Magic the Gathering, there is a concept known as Who's the Beatdown. And it goes something like this. Eventually, in a two-player game, one of the players is going to want to end the game because they're in the lead, while the other tries to stall and delay the end of the game so that they can catch up and eventually win. I've never played Magic the Gathering myself, but that's my basic understanding. While we don't necessarily use that expression in Terraforming Mars, the same concept certainly applies to the game. And I wanted to go through a game review today that I think illustrates this concept and also illustrates why it's so important to be aware of who is the beatdown in the game and when you're supposed to push the pace of the game to try to push your advantage, versus when you're supposed to actually stall and try to delay the game one gen further. My opponent in this game is a relatively strong player with a rating of 640, and my rating at the time of this game was 610. Yes, I've improved a little bit lately. All the data analysis is starting to finally pay off. Looking at our hand, we have the choice between UNMI and Terraforming Mars, or CSM for short. And we can quickly see that this is not a UNMI hand, because the only time UNMI is any good is when you can consistently terraform each generation without having to resort to standard projects. And here we have basically no way of consistently terraforming at all. We have some terraforming preludes, but that's it. So UNMI is out. It is, even if you get consistent terraforming with this corporation, it's still not that great. And without it, it's just really bad. So not going that route. Terraforming Mars, on the other hand, is a very strong corporation. We've seen that on the stats. It consistently ranks among the top corporations according to ELO performance. And of course, the ability of Terraforming Mars is being able to play building tags cheaply. And here we do have some building tags present in our hand. Power plant and commercial district, which is a relatively expensive one. Not the most exciting building tag, but it will provide us with some early development. The preludes are mostly good, with the exception of Martian Industries. It's not that great. Fortunately, we do have power plant in our hand to power the commercial district, so we don't have to take this not great prelude. We can choose between these three instead. So supply drop is interesting, because here I'm seeing that we can get 3 plants, and then we can put commercial district on, let's say, 2 plants somewhere. And then we also have another tile. We have a restricted area, which we'll certainly keep because it's a very good card. We can put that on a couple of plants, and maybe we can even play design microorganisms in the first generation. And then in the second generation, as long as our plants don't get destroyed, we can get an early greenery conversion, which seems pretty good to me. So as always, with the starting hand, there are some cards you pretty much have to keep because they're just that good. And there are some cards you're never keeping because they're just not good enough. And then there are some that are sort of interesting. That's almost always going to be the case. So which are the obvious keeps here? Well, I just mentioned restricted area. Very strong card. Terraforming Mars is a flexible corporation. This opening hand doesn't necessarily tell us which direction we should go in, whether we should go for more of a terraforming rush strategy or we should go for an engine. But either way, this is a good enough card to keep, and Terraforming Mars is rich enough that we can start drawing cards early. As mentioned, the power plant and commercial district combination with the CSM discount is pretty strong as an opener, I think. So I do think we keep those 2 cards. And the card, and then Virus, of course, very strong, I would say underrated card. Always very good in two-player games, so that's always a keep. And the cards that are, okay, let's take the cards that we're certainly not keeping here. So Zeppelins can sometimes be a late game like Banker Swing, but that is just like too speculative. I don't want to pay 3 MC just to keep it in my hand. Symbiotic Fungus can sometimes be good, but we don't have a target for it here, so it's just no point in keeping that for now. It's not a very impactful card, even if it does pay off. Terraforming Ganymede is certainly can be one of the most impactful cards in the game, but we have no other Jovian tags and just a little bit of card draw, so that seems like too much speculation to me. So those are the cards that I'm definitely not keeping. Although you might make an argument for TG. I'm not going to say that's, objectively horrible or anything. But anyway, the cards that are like borderline to me would be Birds and Gene Repair. So Birds is a very good card, but it's a late game card and you never know. Like if Oxygen goes early, then I think Birds is a good card. And if Oxygen lags, then Birds is often not that great. So, and you're often just like paying 3 MC to keep it in your hand to the end of the game, and it only gives you like 1 point. Here I'm seeing I have a choice between, also I should mention Gene Repair, which is another kind of borderline card. Could keep it, could skip it, can go either way on that one. CSM is rich enough that we can keep these cards if we want to. So I think I'm going with Supply Drop here with the plan I mentioned, and then the only question is, should we do Metal Rich Asteroid or Smelting Plant? And I think there's a pretty convincing argument here for going Smelting Plant, and that is that first of all, we don't have any space targets to use the Titanium on immediately. Even if we kept TG, that's just a late game card. And second of all, that means we can more confidently keep Birds because we're advancing the Oxygen track twice, getting us closer to Birds. So that'll be my starting hand, and I end up skipping Gene Repair. I think you can take it, but usually in my games, I more often have a problem with keeping too many cards, so I try to be somewhat disciplined. Okay, we keep those 6, and our opponent is Eagle-Eye. They play Aquifer Turbines on the cards, and then they play Biosphere Support, going up to 4 Plant Broad. Okay, so first of all, we talked about this. Who is the beatdown? Anytime you see Eagle-Eye in a game, especially on the Farsis map, you can just assume that they're the beatdown. They're the ones trying to push the pace of the game, and you're trying to go for more of a mid-range or longer game. Why is that? Well, Eagle-Eye can very quickly get a massive lead by getting early greeneries, taking up the Oxygen track, claiming the Gardener and Terraformer milestones, and funding Landlord at 8 MC, and then just end the game early in like Gen 9 or 10. Usually that will be enough to win most games for Eagle-Eye. So that's the typical Eagle-Eye game plan. We have a hand where we might go for a rush, but it's probably not going to be as strong as Eagle-Eye's 4 Plant Broad. So that's something to keep in mind. So already I'm really happy that I have the restricted area card draw, and I'm also super happy that I played Smelting Plant, but because this means I'm just taking away 2 points from Eagle-Eye on the Oxygen track. And I'm looking at this Birds here, so they're at 4 Plant Broad. This is looking like the Oxygen track will go very fast, which would make Birds a really strong card. Okay, so we played Supply Drop, and then they play Arctic Algae, so even more plants. They play Arctic Algae with 8 oceans left. So they have 4 Plant Broad, 4 plants already. Arctic Algae is going to give them another 16 plants eventually. and they only need 7 plants to convert to greenery. So oxygen is gonna explode here. Which is good and bad. It's good in the sense they have birds, and it's bad in the sense that they're going to rack up a ton of points by doing this. So here I'm thinking I need to, first of all, I do the commercial district line, and I need to get my card draw out relatively early. But I decide here I can't afford both design microorganisms and restricted area. So I decide it's more important to play design microorganisms first for the production, and then next generation we have 7 plants, so we can do restricted area and into conversion. Okay, first draft. 2 ocean cards. You hate to see it. I mean, Ecoline has Arctic Algae. So Towing a Comet, very good card in general. But I'm not like super excited to play it because I'm giving myself 2 plants with this card, but I'm also giving them 2 plants. The good thing about it though is that this one also takes another O2 TR from them. So I think this is something we want to play. And in any case, I think it's too good to give to them, and it's better than the rest of these cards, although Invention Contest is usually very good. Okay, 2 sort of irrelevant cards, and then Noctis City. Noctis City is pretty amazing here. I understand that they were not that excited for it because we already have the commercial district next to it. I mean, genius move on my part. But we take Noctis City. It's already discounted for CSM, and it's going to be a point. And the very nice thing about taking this card is that I can now just start converting around my commercial district next to Noctis City and play Noctis whenever I feel like it. I don't need to rush that out. And here, Artificial Lake is just so far away, and it's not the greatest of cards anyway, so I decide to take the wild tag, although they have free plant tags for NRA if they have that on hand already. But the wild tag is always a bit scary, it can turn on things, and I'm not that afraid of them developing science payoffs and stuff, but it could be useful for me if I find NRA, or if I find like AGT or Mass Converter, AI Central, stuff like that. So I do end up keeping the 3 cards here. And I do play the Towing a Comet, and I'm looking at them. They have 10 plants and 20 MC. We have 11. So part of me wants to convert my plants. Part of me also wants to virus them before they can get a greenery. So I think here it is better to virus first. And there is no plan. I mean, there is no card that costs 20 MC or less that destroys more than 3 plants, except Virus, and Virus is in my hand. So they can't prevent me from getting a greenery here. And in any case, I can play the follow-up my plan of playing restricted area over here and then convert next to it because I want to get the ocean rebates. So I virus them. That's kind of brutal because they were lined up to get possibly 2 greeneries this generation. They played the invention contest, relatively early invention contests. I'm not sure what that means, so probably means they don't have a great hand, but that seems pretty expensive to me when they only leave themselves with 18 MC in the second generation that I haven't really done much so far. So I'm not so sure about that. They skipped the second action, so now I play my restricted area and convert next to it for some money. That is great. Then we're already up to 6 plants again. So now sort of a plan is starting to form in my head. Well, first I draw a card and research. Very good card for us. If we find any science payoffs now, we can probably get them online relatively soon. A plan is starting to form in my head. I see that we are up 1 greenery and they don't have any yet. They're gonna get 1 opening next gen, but we're also at 8 plants next gen, so maybe an opportunity to snipe Gardener, who knows? But anyway, Earth Catapult, generation 3, we have card draw, we have a good economy, a very good card for us. um, it's kind of funny here because like part of me wanted to, because GHG factories is so good for them in a sense, because they can play the GHG factories and get heat prod, which should be good as Ecoline. And if I take GHG factories and give them Earth Catapult, I don't think Earth Catapult is that good for them because they don't have card draw and they're not that rich. So that might just slow them down while I have the card draw and so on. I have the better production. And the nice thing about doing that is what I would prevent them from getting GHG factories, because GHG factories solves a lot of their problems. They already have the energy to play it, and then they can start advancing the temperature. Because what I'm thinking here is that they're the beatdown. They have an insane plant setup, so they want to take a lot of oxygen and board points, ground game points, and then end the game. But I mean, it's Earth Catapult and it's relatively early in the game, so I think I just have to take that. It's so good for me. Then we get Natural Preserve, would usually be the pick here. It's usually the best card, but we're already at 4% oxygen. So if I take that, they can just convert their plants and it becomes unplayable for me. So the only question is then, are they going to take that card, place it somewhere good, like let's say here, or I don't know, and then convert next to it? They could, but we also have this card. So already, like, we're at 4%, and I'm taking a lot of oxygen away from them. So if I can even do mining expedition as well, maybe destroy some of their plants, take up even more oxygen from them, not too bad, because their main way of scoring now, their only way of scoring really, is to convert greeneries, get the TR and the points and so on. So I'm planning on actually keeping mining expedition here. And then the GHG factories come back, and they took the card that lowers your plant production, biomass combustors. Yeah, really not sure about that one. I would have thought this is the exact card that Ecoline wants to see in this situation. As we talked about, there's one player here that wants a fast game, and that's probably them. Where I'm seeing card draw, science, global discount, I'm certainly in this for the long haul. So I'm definitely cutting this card from them, and I'm very happy about that. Not playing it myself though. Okay, so they convert next to me. They're cutting me off here from the ocean adjacency bonuses, but the nice thing here is that I have a good alternative location to convert next to Commercial District, which will later be next to Noctis City. So I don't really mind that. And I do convert next to Noctis and draw a card, which is a fantastic card. It's imported hydrogen. In this situation, by the way, I think it's important to not play this too soon, because this will give them 2 greeneries, and it will help them move the game along, and maybe they have algae and kelp farming and stuff like that. So this is a very good card that I might save for birds, actually. I might wait maybe till I have synergies and discounts with this card and just get 2 birds on it, even if oceans are gone. Then they play the GIA, so, you know, probably the best event card in the game. Very good for them. And they convert. Sounds good, right? But I'm not sure like exactly how much they thought this through, because now I'm sitting here, I have 30 MC Oxygen is at 7%. I have 2 greeneries, so I can just SP a greenery, get the bonus temperature bump, get the bonus heat production, and claim Gardener. That is insane. So, yeah. First, it's not just that I'm taking up a lot of the oxygen track, I'm also claiming perhaps the most important milestone for Ecoline to claim, which is Gardener. So I'm not sure. They did the whole GIA convert thing. They could have SP'd greenery and converted, and if that happened, I could still SP greenery and claim Gardener. So they were kind of screwed anyway. But in that case, at least they get the bonus temperature bump and the heat. So I think that would have been a better play actually. You hate the SP greeneries as Ecoline, but at least in that case, like they get the bonus and they kind of force me to do it, to SP a greenery, even if that might not be exactly what I want. Yeah, I think this was probably a pretty big mistake, although it's hard to say. I mean, I probably would have gotten Gardener anyway. I imagine I would have SP'd greenery anyway. But here, I mean, it's just a no-brainer. Very efficient play. We claim Gardener. They play Nitrophilic Moss. Okay. So we go to the 4th generation, and it's kind of hard to overstate just how disastrous this was for them, because now I'm in a 7-point lead, and I'm making good progress on Builder. I don't imagine they're ever getting Planner, so we're looking at getting 2 milestones, and they can't even fund, well, maybe they can fund Landlord, but it's kind of, we're in the lead by 3, and although they have 6 plant prod, suddenly we could drop NRA or kelp farming and stuff like that, so it's not as safe as they would have hoped. So pretty tricky situation for Ecoline. Probably not what they imagined when they played this insane plant start. Okay. I took deep well heating. Yeah. Looking back at that, I'm not sure. Maybe I should have taken Cupola City there. Actually, let's go back. So that was move 78. Kind of forgot the other cards. Okay, let us see. Okay, we have Cupola City, Vesta Shipyard, Convoy from Europe, Deep Well. Convoy is not that great. I mean, they benefit from oceans, but they could just SP an ocean for the same price. Yeah, Cupola City is pretty interesting here. We don't currently have the power for it. We would need deep well heating, and I think that was my reasoning for taking deep well heating. And I also need power for Noctis. I think Cupola City is very strong here because of their insane plant production. Like this board is just gonna fill up with greeneries for sure. So cities are very valuable here, and Cupola is one of the best. So yeah, not so sure about that. And here we have space hotels, which could be good, still be good for us. It's only Gen 4, and we could play EarthCat research coordination and then space hotels. So we cannot afford all of that this generation. So it will have to wait until Gen 5, so maybe it's not that good. Ganymede Colony is, we already saw TG. It's not like I'm super afraid of them playing that, but it's generally a scarier card. Then Cupola City comes back. Very interesting. they took Vesta Shipyard. I imagine they did that because they're afraid I'm taking Ganymede Colony and Vesta Shipyard. But I currently don't have any Jovians played. Mm. And Cupola City is just very good. So, yeah, not so sure about that. But I only keep deep well heating. Okay. So I think my reasoning here was that they're going to convert up to 9%, and then I have to play Cupola City immediately before it's dead. And I also want to play Earthcat first, and we have a bunch of other good cards, and we have Knock the City that consumes power, so I still think that was probably a keep. Not sure. Okay, we find investment loan, always happy to see that. Play the Earthcat, and they play the insects, so yeah. They're up to 10 plant prod. We're at 2. Ecoline with 10 plant prod is very scary in any situation usually. So the only thing, well, the thing that gives me comfort here, there are several things. First of all, we got Gardner. That severely reduces Ecoline's potential scoring because it usually, I mean, it probably means I get 2 milestones. Second of all, we have a very good engine setup with Earthcat and the card draw. And third of all, temperature is lagging, and they don't have temperature. They don't have heat production. So I play the investment loan here. I think, okay, so what I'm looking at here is actually the milestones. So we're at 4 building tags, 28 TR. So currently the fight for Terraformer is pretty close. I'm certainly getting Builder easily. The only milestones they can fight me on are Terraformer and potentially Mayor. Okay, so yeah. I investment loan to play the mining expedition. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. It would turn off something like Electrocat if they had that, and I want to be playing mining expedition at some point anyway before the oxygen track is maxed. So just make sure to grab as much of the oxygen TR as possible, and we want to advance towards birds as well. And take some of his plants, so I guess it's fine. Okay, next draft, obvious Marsu. Very good card for us, it's so cheap, and we have a bunch of science, well, we have research basically. And adaptation technology, I'm looking out for that card, because if that comes back, that might turn on birds sooner, so could be interesting. Here is another interesting one. Great Escarpment is not really a card in this situation. Lake Mariners is the sort of card is always very difficult to evaluate this early in the game, because there are 5 oceans left, but also, you know, the temperature is lagging behind quite a bit, so not sure that's going to be good. Whereas breathing filters is almost certainly going to be good for us, because we have discounts on cards, we have Marsu to cycle stuff, and yeah, just generally speaking, good card. And I'm also starting to eye up this scientist award potentially. So I take that, and I say here, my reasoning here is that they have Arctic algae, so if they need to wait, go all the way to 0 degrees with 3 oceans remaining, then they're probably in some trouble. They didn't get a lot of Arctic algae value. I mean, not that they need it with 10 plant broad, but still. It's in their best interest to rush out oceans, not in mine, so I'll let them have it. And adaptation technology came back, so I take that. And they didn't take Lake Mariners. They kept, or they cut Great Escarpment. Kind of weird. None of us have Steel Broad, so not sure what that was all about. I guess people are just used to adaptation technology being a bad card, but I legitimately think it's okay here. It's 13 MC for a point, but also cycles a card, and if we can play birds 1 gen earlier, I think that's very valuable. So I'm gonna keep that card. Okay, they play the standard technology. They haven't played many cards yet, so when you're just looking at this hand, it's certainly a terraforming hand. Lots of plant prod, Arctic algae, standard technology. If I'm just looking at this tableau of cards here, I would usually assume, and especially if I'm looking at the plant production, I would assume Ecoline is doing very well. Of course, looking at the heat production, not so much, but you'd be surprised looking at this that they actually lost Gardner. Kind of funny. Okay. So they SP a city. Interesting. So cities are obviously good for Ecoline, but makes you wonder why they didn't take Cupola City, by the way. That was strange. That would have been much cheaper for them. But the SP City and yeah, standard tech and SP City, of course. Okay, we draw Power Supply Consortium. Pretty good draw, because that means we can just play Deep Well Heating and then PSC. So first we play the Marsu and draw Soil Factory. Sometimes with Marsu you're almost happy to see these cards, but because we didn't really have any cycles in our hand, so at least that's a card we can cycle. It's not a very good card. They convert, that's very good. They convert again. And, well, first I think I play the Deep Well and then the Power Supply Consortium. That's probably going to be pretty annoying for them in case they find power targets. Just generally very good value, this card, especially when it's discounted. And they play the Wester Shipyard. Now that surprised me. We already saw two of the Jovian multipliers, and they're just playing a naked Vesta Shipyard in Gen 5. It doesn't seem very good to me, but yeah, we'll come back to that. I'm playing the adaptation technology, cycle Soil Factory. We get a mine for free, not bad. And then we play the birds. Gen 5, there is, I don't know how many steps left on the temperature track, but a lot. So we're looking at going to, let's say, Gen 11, maybe even 12 here. So birds is gonna score, yeah, quite a few points. We also have imported hydrogen, let's not forget. Use the birds, play the mine for free. Not bad. Fund scientist. Okay. So I'm up 4-1 on scientist. We have 3 on hand. Research is always a good ace to have up your sleeve when you're fighting scientists. So I think this fund is looking pretty safe to me. And in the back of my head, I'm also thinking if they try to fight me on scientist, it's gonna be an uphill battle and it's gonna cost them a lot. So even if they get close to me on that one, I think I'll be in a good position. And also, they caught up on landlords, and realistically speaking, they're gonna win landlords. So I don't want to give them the 8MC fund. So that's also why I funded scientist here. Okay. So plantation. I'm really happy to see plantation here because I have 7 plants I'm opening here. So what I can do, I can just play plantation, convert, and there's just 1 step left on the oxygen track. Shuttles and solar wind power, okay. I'm not too scared of passing him the science tag because, again, I don't think they can compete on scientists, and if they do, I think it's going to cost them too much. Again, same thing, physics complex. It's a science tag, but it just does nothing. So greenhouses for me. And here I think it's shuttles. I mean, we already know they took great escarpment, so developing more. I mean, they might play the industrial microbes followed by great escarpment, but it's really not that good this late in the game. So I'm taking the shuttles. and I'm keeping the shuttles. We have some energy prod. We're not like that interested necessarily in developing a lot of heat prod, so getting more discounts seems pretty good to me. I played plantation, convert, so now Noctis is going to be a 5-point city. That's very good. They increase the heat, get the production, skip. I draw moss, which means I can play moss, go down to 0 plants just in case they have some plant destruction. And they play the research outpost. So second science tag, now with a global discount. And they play the Vestas shipyard. So maybe they're starting to somewhat change their game plan a little bit. We'll see. They play the sabotage on me. It's okay. I'm pretty rich anyway. Add the birds, and I don't have any critical plays here. They convert and they convert. So now they're in the lead on Landlord, but they didn't get to fund it at 8 MC at least. Okay, we go to the next generation. So again, heat prod, but in this draft, there's one card that we absolutely cannot give to our opponent. And you should probably be able to guess that that card is Predators, because we're sitting here with birds, and this game might go on for a while. If they take Predators and play it right now, I might not even be able to use birds anymore. I might just have to let them eat my 2 birds, and that's it, because we might go 4 or 5 generations. That would be really, really, really bad. If we go to the Gen 11 here, let's say, I'm going to have 7 points on birds. So yeah, you just cannot pass these cards. It's kind of sad to give them the heat prod, and maybe even more sad to give them Comet. They can blow up our plants, get some Arctic algae value, and so on. These cards are sort of irrelevant. I think I just end up cutting Extreme Cold Fungus. I don't think Phobos Space Haven is going to be very good. And we get the heat production back, and it's discounted by 4. And first of all, I don't want to give them heat production, but I'm starting to see maybe there's a change of pace in their play here. So in any case, I keep those 2 cards. And they play the Solar Wind Power, and they play the AI Central. Okay, so now they are at 4 science tags, same as us. We're almost on the same number of points, and they have more card draw than us. Our global discount is currently a little bit better, but we still haven't seen anti-gravity technology. So in this situation, like, I know we've started out with EarthCat and MarsU and restricted area and so on and so on and so forth, and they just went ham with plant prod. But in this particular situation, we need to be aware of what's going on, because this could quickly turn into a game where they want to stall instead of us. And it's important to notice these things and to recognize this situation, because we're still leading. And I just funded Scientist at 8. We're probably getting at least 2 milestones, maybe 3. So yeah, I think this is where the game turns into that it's actually us. We're the beatdown now. So I played the Radcam Factory for some plant prod and TR. Play the carbon processing. I draw with AI Central. And I play the Heat Trappers. So you see? Clearly telling me that they want to slow down the game. So if we're just looking at the hands, my discount is a little bit better than them. They have a little bit better card draw, but I have MarsU. I have better economy. So a long game here probably still favors me by quite a bit, but it's starting to look a lot more close and a little bit more scary. So anyway, here I'm mostly thinking about the milestone situation. So we already have builder we can claim, and I'm thinking, how can I get 3 milestones here? So I'm looking at them. They have 2 cities, and they're not really close on planner, and Terraformer is really close. The problem is if I just play my cards here and then claim builder, then I'm probably not in time to get Terraformer next gen, because I'm still missing 3 TR before, and then they can just SP a city and take mayor, which is fine. They have standard tech and they're getting lots of greenery, so city and SP city is not that bad for them anyway. But here is where I actually missed a pretty good line. So here I have a pretty clear way to get 3 milestones, and it's not what I did. So I did play, well, it takes birds. I played Noctis City, and this I think is might just be a mistake. So if you can just try to see what I could have done instead, and I think you'll agree that it's just way stronger. So instead of playing Noctis City, I could have played Radcam, or what we call Batcam Factory. I think here Batcam Factory is not that bad, it's pretty good. That would consume my last power, which is sort of unfortunate, but that would get me up to 34 TR. I could then claim builder, and then at the start of next gen I have 8 plants and I even have 8 heat. Then I just take the TR and then claim Terraformer, and that's 3 milestones. So I'm already up 10 points. Tripling them on milestones and with Scientist funded at 8, even if they beat me on Scientist, I think there's like no way they're coming back in this game if I do that. So that's what I should have done. I still think I'm in a very good situation, very good position, but yeah, that would have been better. So here I go for an alternate line instead. I SP a city here because I see their threat of taking mayor, and I also see that I myself opening next gen could just SP city, claim mayor before they can, and then I have plenty of time to take builder before they get to take terraformer. So that's why I did that. And here we have indentured, pretty good card. Quantum extractor, very good card for us. So I'm not sure what they took over that, but quantum is another science tag in a fight for scientist, which is now a real fight. It's a cycle, and it's energy production that we desperately need, and it's also more global discount or more space discounts. So very good card, certainly keeping that. Although important nitrogen is also a very good card, so a Noctis is okay for us. Magnetic field dome for 1 MC, won't say no to that. And Noctis farming, I think this is a case of you just keep all 4 clearly. And here I could follow through with my plan. So here I could SP city and claim mayor. And if I do that, well, maybe they still get terraformer, by the way. Yeah. The problem here is if I SP city mayor, I don't have enough money. Even if I get enough TR, I don't have the money to claim terraformer. So this whole line where I SP the city here was probably just a mistake. So recognizing that, I convert and draw. Then they play the underground city. Usually not a very good card, but kind of unfortunate here because they get a nice 3-point city. Maybe I should have converted on the plants instead of the card, but I wanted the cycles for Mars U. But anyway, they get a nice 3-point city, and they get to claim. They have just enough money to claim mayor. So unfortunate. But at least we got 2. But that was a 10-point swing. Had I just played the Radcam Factory last gen, this game would have been pretty much over. Although I think I'm in a very good position anyway. Like, I'm up 12 points and have a very good hand. It's always a little bit scary when they have so much plant production. But one thing to keep in mind here, which is actually a real concern, is if this game goes on for very long, we might actually just fill up the entire board. And if we do, then their plant production advantage is just gone. So that's something to keep in mind. I mean, usually games don't go that long. Okay, draw higher raiders, that's a good one. We play the Earth Office, skip, so we're just stalling a little bit here. I take the heat. Nothing important turns on at minus 18 degrees. And also, I'm at a point here where I recognize now fully that it is in my best interest to sort of push the pace of the game. Now I am the beatdown. And it's an interesting situation because I'm still thinking I probably have the best setup here. Yes, they have AI Central, but I have restricted area, I have Marsu, and I have Earthcat. I have better money situation, 10 MC prod, even more TR than them, and I'm in the lead. So, but like even a long game should favor me over them. But here's where card draw plays a role, because if they get lucky draws and I just whiff, that situation could potentially change. And like, even if my setup is very good, I should definitely be pushing my advantage. So, but anyway, I play shuttles. It's okay. We draw the viral enhancers in the draft. That's certainly the first keep. It's a very good card, of course, one of the best in the game. And it's also a science tag, and we have Marsu. So, okay, this second one is more interesting. It's not the greatest trees ever, even if we do have adaptation technologies. Because there's so many plants in the game. That's really not the limiting factor. And mining rights is a landlord tile, and it could be important for the miner fund. This could open up a line for them to fund miners. So I'm not 100% sure trees is the better pick here, but with viral enhancers still feels pretty good. And then I think house printing is just a cheap point for us. Potentially a way to fight an eventual miner fund. They draw. They play Lagrange observatories, so they're clearly trying to fight us on scientist. And these situations, I find that it's often a good idea to sit on cards like research. Don't let them know we have it, and give them the impression that they can flip scientist and then just drop these cards later, and then they invest too much in inefficient science tags. By the way, I'm not sure why they, or I'm pretty sure why they played the science tag. Let's say they're playing Lagrange Observatory. Well, it draws a card, but I'm starting to think there's probably an anti-gravity technology lurking in their hand somewhere. They have 16 cards, and that would sort of explain also why they were so keen to switch the pace of the game and turn this into a long haul where they're fighting us on scientists. They have AI Central, so if they also have AGT, that certainly explains why they were so quick to make that decision. But we find a little bit more card draw ourselves, and this is very good because now we're evening out the card draw situation. But I SP is city because I think there's just so many greeneries that are coming down here. That it's important to take a little bit control over the board and make sure that we get some of those city points. But then you can also ask yourself, why didn't just SP City last generation and claim mayor ahead of them? So, not sure about that. They play the comment from Europa. Get even more plants. Convert. I rate them for 2 steel. I think steel can be used efficiently here, so seems a little bit better. They invest in steel pros, I'm gonna take it away. Do the business network, and then they play the mining area, so it shows that taking their steel was correct. And I draw the fusion power. It's a pretty good draw because we have some energy consuming cards. We also like some energy to turn over to heat so we can get out of this game. And it's a science tag, and it's discounted by 4, so overall pretty good cards. Also keep in mind that even though we're even on card draw, Marcio itself will draw some cards. So if you look at the stats over the course of a typical game, Mars University will draw about half as many cards as AI Central on average. So it's certainly not as many as AI Central, but it's also a much cheaper card. So in terms of how many cards this card will usually yield, it's just why it's such an amazing card, such a good investment. Here we draw, cycle. I did play the research, by the way. I think it's pretty clear that we're playing all the science tags now, but also I just wanted to see if there were some better cards I could find at this point, and I am getting a pretty solid economy, so if you find something good, we might be able to play it. You can also stall a little bit. Activate the birds and play the magnetic field dome. For some plant production and TR, I guess it's okay. Not totally sold that it's the correct move, but we will be playing fusion power, so we will be getting more power anyway. But I've really consumed a lot of power in this game. And speaking of power consuming, there's Dev Center. So in this situation, Space Elevator is a very, very good card for them, considering the situation, because now they're looking to build up their engine more than doing terraforming. So I really don't want to give them Space Elevator, but I don't think you can give them Dev Center. So right now they have 3 card draw. They also play the Mentor skill, by the way. 3 card draw to R2. If you pass them Dev Center, it's 4-2. Now they can't use this generation, but eventually it's going to be 4 continuous card draw for them versus R2, and that's very scary. Whilst if we take it, we have just evened their 3 card draw. And it's also a science tag. So I think we have to take this card. And these are not very important cards, but this one has a VP on it, so I just take that one. Tropic Resort also does, but I'm not interested in playing that. Terraforming, well, I'm not interested in keeping that. I mean, I know some other YouTubers have certain opinions on Terraforming, so I won't play this card out of respect. Okay. By the way, Open City was just an amazing draw for us, and begs the question, where do we place Open City? I could place Open City here, which is a nice location, then convert between my cities. Should get quite a few points on it, but I'm also seeing this spot down here where they have so much plant production that eventually they're going to be forced to convert here. So Open City here is just guaranteed to score 4 points in my opinion. And I already have these 4 location next to cities, so I end up putting it there, down south. That also gets us some extra access to these steel tiles, which could be important later if someone funds miner. I'm not going to fund miner, but if they fund miner, then I convert. They activate the AI Central. Draw cards. And I draw the big asteroid. Very good pickup. Because at this point, it's pretty obvious. I'm the beatdown. I'm interested in ending this game. And again, it's not that I have bad prospects here in the long game. I would certainly argue that I have the better long game prospects here because I have 17 MC prod, there's 0. I have triple card draw, we both have. I mean, I have all of these amazing cards. I have Earth Cat, I have Mars Hughes, so and also I'm up 20 points, but I would argue that in a long game I have the advantage here. But the thing is that I'm up by 20 points, as mentioned. So there's really no reason to test that hypothesis because it is obvious here that if this game ends quickly, that I just win. So there's no reason why I should try to delay this game any further. Yes, I probably have the advantage anyway, but I don't want to take that risk. So when both of us have free card draw, what will happen then is, unlike the cards you see in a draft, where you can cut cards from your opponent, these are free cards that they are exclusive to you. So the cards that they draw with AI Central Inventor's Guild, I can't do anything about those cards. So if I'm unlucky with my draws and they're really lucky, this game could turn in a bad direction for me if we drag it out to, let's say, 13, 14 generations. So all that being said, I think we should aim to push the game pace along without overdoing it. You don't want to like start SPing asteroids, but a card like Big Asteroid, which is very efficient, is exactly what we want to play here. And then they play the anti-gravity technology. So now it's just getting more and more obvious. They also play advanced alloys, by the way. They have -3 to all cards. They have triple card draw. They have advanced alloys. They have 8 plant prods. So it's time to recognize that not only am I the beatdown, but it's starting to be somewhat urgent that I need to push the pace of the game. But first I play Dev Center. I think that's a good play. And we draw demos, so immediately rewarded, of course. I can even play this card. They have 13 plants sitting around, and as mentioned, we want to push the game along, so perfect. And with the amount of plants they have, we can almost certainly get full value unless they find protected tabs. They activate the space elevator, play the mining area. So even more alloyed minerals. I play the fusion power first because Demos is so discounted. I can even afford to do that. Draw Lunar Beam, that's a cycle. Even though I'd like some heat prod, it's just a little bit too late for this card. Then I play Demos down. Just very nice. Take 8 of their plants. Love to do that. And activate space elevator, and they increase the temperature, which I find a little bit odd. I think probably they should have had the situational awareness here to not do that, because we might quickly end up in a situation. I mean, I'm up by 17 points. We could quickly find ourselves in a situation where I have the power to end by standarding asteroids, and if I have to standard one more asteroid, that could be the difference between ending one gen sooner or not. So in this game, like when it's clear that one player is the beatdown, like often the most important factor for who wins the game is what generation does the game end. So here we're in generation 10, and we're up by so much that I think as long as we end within a couple of generations, we should be safe. I'm currently ahead on scientists. I still have reasonable reason to believe that I'll win scientists, but it's not guaranteed. Okay. Add animal and raise the heat. Also, by taking the heat, they're and they're not really able to fund Thermalist in this situation, which might have been a fund otherwise. So Thermalist is usually a fund you want to make if you're not the Beatdown. If you want to delay the game, this is what you want to fund. I see the mistake some players make is they have a lot of heat prod and then they fund Thermalist because they're in such a lead, but they don't realize that it's only them who want to actually use their heat. Their opponent can just sit under heat. And eventually they get themselves in trouble and need a standard asteroids instead. So common mistake. Now we're already in Gen 11. So quite the degen game. Like I would say most 2-player games last between 9 to 11 generations, sometimes 12. But here we're looking at potentially, I mean, we're certainly not ending this generation, probably not next generation either. Okay, but Herbivores is really amazing card. One that we can absolutely not give to them. I mean, I know Mangrove is one of the best cards in the game, but with 8 plant prod for them, we have 10 plants and yeah, more plants coming. It's just a very clear Herbivores that's going to score quite well. We also have viral enhancers, by the way. And ice cap melting is pretty good, very good, I would say. We even have adaptation technology, which enables this card a little early, so maybe we can surprise our opponent with that. And mag field generators, just not a very good card, so regular feeders, I just take that for the science tag, just in case. Obviously not keeping it. They draw. And I play lava. I mean, I draw the lava tube settlement. And small animals, that's a good one. So, always nice to get animals when you're in a long, dragged out game, because that's passive scoring, and passive scoring is really important in these types of situations. Because it means that you give yourself a chance, even if you have to delay the game one more generation. I mean, they have quite a bit of scoring with their greenery conversions. Okay, titanium mine, not interested. Play the viral enhancers. Find power grid. It's funny, but probably not going to be played. They didn't play anything special as of late. Now they play the immigrant city up here. It's going to score quite well. They're still at -1 MC prod, which is pretty important in this situation because I'm just so much richer than them. We even have more TR, so while we both have amazing card draw, they're not going to be able to afford many of those cards. Not as many as I can. Okay, so I delayed my conversion to after I had played Herbivores. And I dropped the greenery down here. This opens up a nice city spot, but there's going to be city spots all over this map. They play the eco zone, by the way, next to my city. That's also a good passive scoring card. So now I'm actually, I wish I had kept that Predators card way back, but I couldn't really foresee this game state. It's quite an unusual game state for an Ecoline game. They're going like with triple card draw and -3, trying to stall the game after opening with 4 plant prods in the first gen. So quite unusual. And I mean, they're good players, so they probably realized that, you know, this is not exactly the way we want to play Ecoline, but really they didn't have much choice because I just fought them so hard on greeneries and the oxygen that I got out to an early lead and they were put in a difficult spot. And I think they've done quite a good job at least trying to fight back. They play the Phobos Space Haven. Not great, but you know, what can you do? Use Chasma, very good. Get some points on birds, already at 7. Play the trees, get another conversion. And then they play the urbanized area, right here, I assume. Yes, that's very good, actually. So now it's only a 12-point lead. A little bit scary. We're still ahead on scientist. They have probably an easy landlord fund. They probably have an easy miner fund. Okay, pass. So there is an argument to be made for actually funding Banker. We're up by 19-3. We had Zeppelins in our opening hand, which would have been a very scary card here. And Insulation is only one prod for them at the moment, but there's still Satellites, and they just played Immigrant City, so more cities will boost their MC production. But I mean, back at this game now. I think maybe it was a good idea to fund Banker, because even if I'm at risk of losing it, they would have to spend a lot of their money to try to fight me on it, and that's probably going to be too much for them. They would, if they want to fund Landlord, they would have to fund a 20. So looking back, I probably should have funded. Here, Media Archives is very good, but I think Interstellar Colony Ship is even better. So I take that. It's already discounted by 6. And Rad Suits is a point, probably not worth keeping. Tardigrades could be some points if they have. I think we gave them imported nitrogen at some point, or maybe I'm misremembering, but it could be some points at 1 point basically. Okay, but it's just the ICS for me. And then I play the big asteroid, so destroy even more of the plants. Go up to -4 degrees. Now in this situation, usually when you get here, there's a big fight over who gets the bonus ocean. But in this situation, it's not really so much of a fight, because both of us will recognize that, excuse me, if they go out of their way to take the bonus ocean, they're just, hastening the end of the game. And that's also a lot of their money if they want to SP an asteroid, for instance. Well, it's only 11 MC, but point being that, yes, it will be efficient for them to snipe the bonus ocean, but that just moves us closer to the end of the game when I'm in a comfortable lead. So I can play with the confidence knowing that I don't care if they take the bonus ocean. I would happily allow that. But I SP a city here because I think the way that this game could get out of hand for me is if they just take all of the remaining scoring on the board. So I just can't allow them to take fully control of the entire board here, I think, because this board is looking like it's going to fill up entirely almost. So SP City is pretty expensive. And you could argue maybe it's not the best, maybe it isn't. But I'm seeing that we're not ending this generation. And I'm also seeing that I can probably end next generation, I'm thinking, because we have Ice Cap, there's the bonus ocean, we have imported hydrogen, and we can probably afford a few SP asteroids next gen. So I'm thinking probably we're looking at a Gen 13 end, if we can end and win. And then they fund Miner, so yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have allowed that, because it looks like they're winning Miner quite comfortably. We can always try to make it a little bit annoying. This is also part of the reason why I placed Open City down here. Artificial photosynthesis is nice to have as a backup in case they tie us on Scientist or something. We can take it back. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. Skip. We activate, draw. Jove's not that interesting. Take a bird. They play the immigration shuttles. I mean, yeah, they're 6, 9, might be 4 points even. I activate the small animals. CEO's favorite project, just stalling a little bit here. Skipping we're both one actioning at this point, so That's okay. I draw some cards and Ice Asteroid. That's pretty nice. So means I can. I know I can finish out the oceans. I mean, they have Arctic algae, so the oceans are going to give them a lot of plants. But at this point, I don't really care. I'm just interested in finishing the game. We're 24 points ahead. Also, I'm looking at this imported GHG, which we have 7 heat, and it's costing us 1 MC. So sure, that's a nice way to get the temperature bump. Play the media group. Not sure why. I play the imported GHG, so kind of hinting at that I might take the bonus ocean. But again, I'm not really afraid of revealing that again, because I would happily allow them to go for that themselves. They played a methane from Titan, and that seems like a bit much. Like, didn't they have anything better among their 12 cards? That's really expensive when they already have more than enough plant prods. They don't need heat prods, so I'm not sure what that's all about. Maybe they have some Jovian molds, but still, it seems too expensive. Okay, so now I do play the greenhouses. I mean, there are so many cities. I don't think there are going to be that many more cities. This gets me up to 21 plants, and I assume that they're gonna, yeah, they pass. So now we have the liberty of just doing lots of actions here. I don't have that much money, but I can still do some damage. So I do the imported hydrogen, paying with titanium, take some birds, up to 12 birds. That's nice. Convert here next to my city for 2 plants, which will also give us some rebates. I mean, we already saw mangrove, so that's not really, I don't need to worry about taking up a mangrove spot. Start converting around my city for some cash back. Get some herbivores, that's nice. Convert again. Add another herbivore. Already at 7 herbivores. Increase heat. And with adaptation technology, we can now play the ice cap melting. And I play it next to their city for some steel. Maybe I can fight a little bit on minor, but also I know they have mangrove, so I assume that's why they set up the city there. So now they can't mangrove next to their city. And I SP an asteroid to get the bonus ocean. Draw kelp farming. It's nice. I'm looking at this and wondering maybe if that was a mistake to play the asteroid, because I could have just played ice asteroid and killed the bonus ocean for them anyway. Because now there's 1 ocean left and I give them the opportunity to take it, but yeah, not sure. Okay, so interesting draft here. Decomposers versus optimal air braking. I have at least one. I'm going to play at least one space event and have 7 heat. So at first here I take Decomposers because it's generally scarier cards. Could give them some scoring. They might have imported nitrogen, stuff like that. So, but then I think I take it back. Change my mind. I see that optimal air braking will get me up to 10 heat at least, which means it saves us an SP asteroid, which could be pretty important. Okay, cut the Jove, clearly. I'm not sure what they took over that. I mean, they played methane from Titan last gen, but they don't seem to be interested in the Jove molds. Kind of strange. And Underground Detonations is still the worst card in the game, so yeah. Just the optimal. They play the flooding, and again, I'm not sure why, because they're just making it easier for me to end. Even if it's like efficient terraforming, in this case it's really not, because they're getting a minus point. They take 7, I mean they take 4 MC back from me, but I have enough money here to end. So in situations like this, it's usually just better, like when it's clear that I am the beatdown, they should just let me pay for the final terraforming. Because if I'm interested in ending the game, they should try to make that as expensive as possible for me, so I can't get to play my efficient scoring cards, which presumably I do have because I have had triple card draw for a while now. Okay, but they convert some greeneries. We draw lava flows. That's no longer playable, unfortunately. That would have been nice. There's the installation, by the way. They draw. Convert yet another greenery. It's a pretty good scoring. So this point is important to just check that they're not flipping any awards. So currently it's miner and scientist. They're currently being counted for being ahead on miner, so that's good. It means we're actually 21 points ahead. AAA, even with optimal, is not a play here. They draw. They used to space elevator, play the optimal error breaking, and they fund landlord. So funnily enough, like it's only 22-19 on landlord. Even if they were Ecoline, who started with gazillion plant prod and Arctic algae and insects and everything, we still managed to get quite close, which is amazing actually. Stalling here. Play the decomposers, sell. Just selling a little bit more. Play the interstellar colony ship, revealing that I have 10 heat. They played advanced ecosystems, very good. So here I take my heat, which allows them to play birds, for instance. But here I'm thinking, like, if they want to play birds, fine. Here I'm just interested in stalling them out to make them use their money so that I can be absolutely sure that I'm winning if I end the game. Like, I'm 99% winning here anyway, but you can never be too cautious about these things. You never know. They do some selling. We do some selling. NISB an asteroid. We're at 4%. Now they can play the mangrove, but even that, like, it's just 1 point basically. So they have 4 decomposers, so it's just 1 point currently. And they did have the important hydrogen, nitrogen, so it's a very good card, even and especially with the media group. An asteroid, sell a card. And again, in situations like this, it's like if they want to take if they have an more efficient way to take the final temperature, then by all means go ahead. I really don't want to SP these asteroids. So if I can avoid it, I will gladly avoid it. But I am planning on ending the game here. Another city for them. I think they see the writing on the wall. So just trying to maximize their scores. So I SP the final asteroid and play braving filters to make sure we stay ahead on scientist. They play the Trans-Neptune probe and the media archives. Always a little bit scary, you know, when they drop the media archives just after you've ended the game, and it's like, oh, I forgot about that card. But fortunately here, even though it was very good value for them, they're so far behind. I mean, they are flipping back minor, so it's not a 23-point lead. It's 13-point lead at the moment. I play insulation because that's better than selling it on the money tiebreaker. Not that I think it's gonna matter. Sell a card. They play mangrove. That's very good. Play farming. Also very good. Now I pay for. They have 2 cards left, so I pay for Radcam Factory with MC, which means I will stay at 8 steel, and there's no way for them to pick up more steel or more minerals from the board. So with a total of 11 minerals, it means they can only safely use 2 minerals, which might be relevant if they have mineral targets on hand. It's just a technical detail, probably not going to matter here. Skip, and we end the game. Now we get our final conversions, and we both convert next to our cities to maximize the score. And the final score is it's a 6-point win. Not actually amazing scores for Gen 13 end. So generally speaking, I would say that, like, if you go to generation 13, usually means something went wrong. Usually means that the player who was in the lead should have ended the game earlier. And you can certainly argue here that I should have tried to push even harder for a game end. Maybe not spent as much of my energy on energy targets and rather just focused on letting it turn into heat so we could finish out the heat track. I think the score here is a little closer than it was in reality. Like, if I just played on until Gen 14, I imagine I would win by more points because I wouldn't have had to sell large convoy. That's another 6 points, and I could just play more efficient scoring. But there's really no, I mean, instead I had to SB asteroids. That's my point. So I had to play relatively inefficiently last gen, but as long as you can safely end to win, I think that's what you always should do. But they did relatively well, like to fight back, and it took a little while, I remember, for me to actually realize what was going on. Maybe I should have seen it when they played the Vesta Shipyard, which I think was like in Gen 5 or something. But when they played the Heat Trappers on me and the AI Central, it was pretty clear from that point on that they realized they were in a bad situation and they need to do everything they could just to stall the game, to hope for a miracle. And, quite good to get actually within 6 points. So it's an interesting game in the sense that the beatdown changed from initially it's like it's clearly equaline with all their plant prods who's trying to go for a fast game. I have the engine set up, and then I get into an unexpected lead by taking a lot of their O2 TR, taking Gardner, and then all of a sudden I'm the beatdown. So just goes to show you have to be aware of these things and adapt. Just because you have the Ecoline Corporation doesn't mean you always have to end in the 9th generation and just terraform all the time. You can adapt your play to the circumstances and the cards that you're given. So, interesting game. I feel like I was very lucky in the beginning to have a very good counterplay to his early plant prod. I know I was also lucky, of course, to find Earthcat and Marsu, but it was an interesting back and forth. Anyway, hope you enjoy that and see you around.